Hi, today you're going to learn about point-slope form. You've already learned about slope-intercept form. This is another type of form when it comes to linear equations. So the objective today is understand the difference between point-slope form and slope-intercept form and how to write an equation in point-slope form. All right, so point-slope form is when there is only one point, which is x1, y1, and the slope, m, of a given or desired line. The equation for that is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So xy, just by itself, xy, represents all the points that is on that line of that equation. x1, y1 represents one point on that line. So big difference. The xy, it represents all the points that would satisfy this equation, and x1, y1 is just one of the many points that is on that line. And as you already know, m represents the slope. So this is a discovery. This is not on your guided notes, but this is to show you where this equation comes from. So again, it says, how did we come to this equation? So we are familiar with the slope formula, which is m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. When we multiply the denominator, which is x2 minus x1 on both sides, you get this form. You have the x2 minus x1 on one side multiplied with the m, and on the other side multiplied with the fraction, or I'd say the slope formula. We do this so that way the x2 minus x1 cancel each other out. So you got the top and bottom cancel out. Once you do that, you're left with on the right side y2 minus y1, and on the right side m times x2 minus x1. It says the reflexive property allows us to flip the two sides. So basically the reflexive property, how you see this line, so let me get and how you see this line, this line, when you get to this line where my purple dot is, you're just basically flipping it. So that way the y2 minus y1 is on the left side and the m times x2 minus x1 is on the right side. Now it says, but if we only have one point, then the equation becomes y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So because we're basing it off of one point that we're using, the slope and the one point, we don't need the second point, which is the y2, x2, y2. We're just using x1, y1. That's why we turn the y2 to y and the x2 to x. And that's how we get our point slope formula or equation. Okay. So the different forms of linear equations that you've already learned and the new one that you're going to be introduced to, which is point slope form, notice the difference. The standard form, ax plus by equals c. That's the standard form when you have the two variables on one side and the constant on the other side by itself. You previously learned about the slope intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b. M is the slope, b is the y-intercept. It's the number that stands alone, and the slope is always next to the variable, which is x. And now the point slope form, you have y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So these are three different forms that you've learned. This is all dealing with the linear equation family, but there's different forms. Standard form, slope intercept form, and point slope form. So you're going to be doing problems where you're going to convert one to the other, like if you're going to convert from standard form to point slope or point slope to slope intercept form, whichever form. But if you familiarize yourself with these three different forms, then it should be easy for you to change from one to another and back and forth. All right, so we're going to do examples. This one says that we need to write an equation in point slope form given the slope and a point. So for our first example, it says write an equation in point slope form given the point 4, -3, and m equals -1. So we have our point, and I'm going to label it. So this one is our x1, y1, and our slope is already m as -1. So now we need to write the point, the first step, we need to write the point slope form. So our point slope form is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. That's the first step. Now it tells us to substitute the slope. That's the second step. So I'm going to write y minus y1 equals, and I'm going to put the slope in a different color, which is -1, and then I'll write the rest of x times x minus x1. Now we need to substitute the point. So the x1, y1. So I'm going to actually start off with the purple, and I'll use a different color for those points. So y minus, and then we have -3, so I'm going to put that in green. -3 equals, back to purple, equals, and then our slope, which was in blue, -1, back to purple, so I'm switching up the colors, times x minus, and our x1 was 4, which I will go back to green and close off the parentheses with purple. Alright, so we've substituted the slope. We wrote the slope, point slope form first. We substituted the slope, which was -1. Then we substituted the point, which was x1, y1, which is 4, -3. And now I just have to simplify. And I'm going to go back to purple. So now it will be y, since -1 times -3 is +3, it's going to be +3 equals, then we have -1, and then x minus 4. Or you could have negative and in parentheses x minus 4. Either way it would be the same. So this is our, let me extend this page. Actually, you know what? Let me make this bigger, go back down, and then extend the page. All right. So this is our form, our point slope form. Please, I know some of you might have the urge to actually distribute and then come up to another answers, which would be -x plus 4. That is not the point slope form. Your point slope form has to have, this has to be what the form is. And I'm going to put that in red so that way you know it has to be x minus x, y minus y1 equals the slope times x minus x1. So it has to be in this form. Do not try to simplify. I know it says simplify, but simplify meaning that if you have a negative in front of that point, or there's like, yeah, negative in front of it, then you have to distribute. That's it. But it has to be in this form, as you can see. All right. It's going to take a little practice, but we're going to do some examples with it. All right, so go into the next page. And let me, oops, go back again, full screen, and then, all right. So number 2, same thing. Write an equation in point slope form, given the point -5, -1, and m as 1 over 5. So the first step, we're going to write the point slope form, which is y minus y1 equals m times m minus x1. Now we plug in what we need to plug in. I know we did the steps, we did the slope first and then the point next. We could put that all together. So it would be, and I'm going to actually fill in, let me just put the y minus, then equals, and then x minus. So where the spaces are, I'm going to fill it with the point and the slope that they gave us. So our y1, and I should label that x1, y1. Our y1 is -1. I put that in parentheses because anytime you have a negative number and you put it after a minus sign, put in parentheses so that way you know you need to distribute and not get mixed up with the signs. Our slope is 1 over 5, and our x1 is negative 5. Okay, and the next step, which is the last step, which we need to simplify. So then we're just distributing whatever negative in front of our point, which was x1, y1. So it would be y plus 1 equals 1 over 5 times x plus 5. And that's our point slope form equation with the point that they gave us and the slope. That is all you need to do. Again, do not try to distribute. Resist the urge. When it comes to point slope form, resist the urge to distribute this part. Leave it in its form. Okay, next example. So it says, write the equation in point slope form, given the point 3,5 and m, our slope, as negative 2. So again, we are writing our point slope form equation, which is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. And we're just plugging in all the information that we need. First, I'm going to label this. You should get into the habit of that, so that way you know where to put what. And then I'm going to first put all the ones that I'm not going to deal with. Minus, and then plug in green the information that they gave us. So my y1 is 5, my m is negative 2, and my x1 is 3. And then in blue, I'm going to simplify. So I get y minus 5 equals negative 2 times x minus 3. And that's our point slope form. Don't resist the urge. I mean, actually, don't resist. Resist the urge. That's what I meant to say. Resist the urge of trying to distribute, because I don't want to see negative 2x plus 6. That is not the point slope form. All right. Oops, this is a long one. All right, so now we have another variation of examples where they're giving us 2 points. The previous examples that we did, they gave us a slope and a point. Now they give us 2 points. So right away, based on previous examples, previous previous lessons where we had to find the slope, remember when there was 2 points and we need to find the slope? Well, in this case, in order to find our point slope form, we need our m, our slope, and one of the points. So with this, we're going to do the steps. So for this one, it says find the slope between the 2 points using the slope formula. So I'm going to do this with red, because this one is my x1, y1, and this is my x2, y2. So I'm going to do my slope formula, which is m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And then I'm going to plug in all the information that is given. So I have negative 2 minus 4 over 1 minus negative 1 in parentheses because it's after the minus sign. So this will give me negative 6. And then since it's distributed, this will be a plus, so 1 plus 1, and then I continue to simplify and solve. So this will give me 2, and then this 3. So my m is negative 3. So you know what, I'm going to put it m equals negative 3. So that way we have something to work off of. All right, now we need to substitute the values. So I need to put my point slope forms. Well, actually, so everything I did here. Oops, let me do this way because I think I broke up the steps. So I use the slope formula, and then I'm going to select the work. So let me actually, I should have split it up. So what I'm going to do, let me just move stuff here. This one will stay there. And then I'm going to put that over here. Sorry about that. And then I'm going to move the m that I found down here. So then I'll rewrite that red. So this was -6. And then I put the m here. And then, let me see, -2, -4. Oops. 2 minus 4, 1 minus -1, and I'll erase that one. So that way everything is all, it makes sense. Okay, going back. So the first step, we used our formula. So we'll move that here. And then the second step, we substitute the values, which we did. Then the third step, we simplify and solve for m. So we found it as -3. Now we need to write and use the point slope form. So I'm going to put that in purple. So it's y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Then the fifth step is substitute the slope in the point slope form. So we found the slope to be -3. So I'm going to put y minus y1 equals, and then put -3 in red. And then I continue to put times x minus x1. Then it says choose one of the points. So either you choose this point or this point. I'm going to choose the second point. So what I'm going to do is put that in green. I'm going to put my x1, y1. That's one of the points that I'm choosing. And I'll write that here. So it'll be 1, -2 that I'm choosing. And then substitute the point into the point slope form. So going back, we had y minus, and I think it was equal, and then the m, and then x minus. So I'm just plugging in all the information that I chose and I already have. So my slope was -3. So I'm going to put -3 here. And my points, which I'll put in green. So this one is my y1. So that will be -2 in parentheses because it's after the negative sign, the minus sign. And then my x1 is 1. And now I just need to simplify wherever I need to distribute. And then I'll put that in back in purple. So it would be y plus 2 equals -3 times x minus 1. And that's finding the point slope form with 2 points given. So if I can extend this, I know it's kind of long, but you can see the steps where they give us 2 points. First step, we had to find the slope by using the slope formula, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And then we plug in our values, find our m. Then we use the point slope form, which is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Then we substitute the slope. We substitute the point. We choose one of the 2 points that we're given. We're not using both. We're only using one of them. And we use one of them. We plug it into the point slope form. And then we simplify, resisting the urge to distribute the other side, where it says -3 times, -3 times x minus 1. And then we leave it in the point slope form. If you've chosen the -1 and the 4, then you would have had y minus 4 equals -3 times x plus x plus 1. So those 2 answers would be correct because basically it's that equation of the line. Those 2 points would be sitting on that line. It's just written in different ways because it's different points, but it's still points that are sitting on that line. All right, so let's do some more examples with that. And I'm going to label this one. So they say write an equation of a line in point slope form that passes through 5, negative 3 and negative 4, 3. So then this one would be x1, y1, and this is x2, y2. So first I'm going to do the slope. So y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And then I'm plugging in all the information based on how I labeled everything, paying attention to my signs. And then I simplify, so this will give me a positive, so it'll be 3 plus 3 over negative 9. Oops. And then this will be 6 over negative 9, and then reduce. So this will become negative 2 over 3. Now I'm going to use the point slope form and choose one of the points. So let me write my point slope form. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. And I'm going to choose the first point, and then I'm going to just plug in everything that I need to plug in. And let me continue with purple. So it would be y minus negative 3 equals, and then the slope is negative 2 over 3 times x minus 5. And then I'm going to simplify. So it would be y plus 3 equals negative 2 over 3 times x minus 5. And there's my point slope form. And these 2 points, that point was falling on this line. All right, let's do one more. Actually, yeah. Let me make this bigger and then extend the page. Hopefully I can see it. All right, so we're writing an equation of a line in point slope form that passes through negative 1, 2, and 3, 4. So again, we started off with labeling. So this is x1, y1, x2, y2. We're using the slope. So y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. We're plugging all in information, pay attention to our signs. Then we have 3 minus negative 1. So this will give us 2. That's 3 plus 1. That's 2 over 4. And then our m is equal to half when you reduce it. Now we have that. We're going to write our point slope form. So you know what? I'm going to put this as number 1. And then our point slope form is number 2. So y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. And the point that I'm going to choose the second one. Even though it says x2, y2, because I use that in order to plug in to find the slope. But you know this is x1 and this would be y1 when you have to plug it into there. So now go back to purple, plug in all the information that I found. So my y1 will be 4, and then my slope is a half. My x1 is going to be 3. And you know what? Let me do this so that way you understand what's going on. So this would be x1, y1. And then I'll just make this in blue. So that way you know you could use any point. It doesn't have to be the first one. And since it's already in everything has been simplified, we have our point slope form. And that's that. Let's see if I can extend this. So yeah. So basically, let's see if we have anything else. Nope, we're towards the end. So we learned about 2 ways of dealing with point slope form. We learned about the different types of equation forms. So going back, the equation is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1, where xy represents all the points on the line, x1, y1 represent one of the points on the line, and m represents the slope. We also learned about the different types of equations, different forms of linear equations. You already learned about the standard form, the slope intercept form, the y equals mx plus b, and now the point slope form, which is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. if you were to simplify it, this point slope form, it would lead you to the slope intercept form. So I could do one of that. Actually, I'll do that for the last example. Well, we did two types of examples where they give us a point and a slope. You just plug in the points, you label, and then plug in the slope and the points into the point slope form, simplify, and not trying to distribute the other end because we need to keep it in that form. And then we also learned about when they give us two points, and we have to find the slope first, then use the slope and then one of the points that they give us and plug it into the point slope form, and then simplify to get our point slope form for an equation. And then another thing, like I was mentioning, actually I should go to the other page just to show you where the point slope form is connected to the slope intercept form. So let's say if I took this one, the last thing that we did, y minus -4 and equals half times x minus 3. And let's say I wanted to simplify and solve for y. So again, I do y minus 4. So I'm going to write here so that way you know what is going on. So basically, point slope form to slope intercept. Intercept form. All right, so now let me go back to purple. So I'm trying to change this point slope form into a slope intercept form, and you can see how they're related. So now I'm going to distribute. So this would give me half x minus 3 over 2. And then now I need to solve for y, so I'm going to add 4 on both sides. Cancel this out, so it'll be y equals half x. And then if you use another color to do that, so then it's 2 over 2. And then if you were to continue, so I'm going to put that on the side, so that one would be 8 over 2, and this will give you 5 over 2. Make sure I paid attention to the sign. Yep, the sign's correct. And then that would give us plus 5 over 2. So this is the same as this. It's just that this is in slope intercept form, and then this one's in point slope form. So two different forms, but they're related. All right, so we have come to the end of this lesson. And again, it will take time to understand and go back and forth with the different forms. But if you have any questions, you know that you can email me and I can help you out, showing you different examples and the step-by-step, so that way everything's all clear and you're good with it. All right, so till next time, bye.